Yes, a big warm welcome to the lovely Colette. We've
Hello.
had a little conversation already today, which has been really, really beautiful. And yeah, we're here today to really welcome Colette into this exciting journey that you've embarked on, which is your embodied business journey, the mentorship. And so you're going to be going on quite a journey with yourself, with the other women inside the mentorship this year. And as a real celebration of you leaning in and starting to feel into your vision and everything that you're bringing to life, it's an opportunity today for us to really arrive as we are, to really assess where are we at now? So Colette and I are going to be having a little bit of a conversation today, just to really get a sense of what season of life are we in right now, what chapter and season of our business might we be in right now, and to really start to feel into like what was the inspiration for this journey. What was that little thread of curiosity, what was that little pull that was like, now is the time to really devote myself, to really create some change, to really invest in this vision that perhaps you've been holding in your heart, for some time. And I'm sure, the ladies will see if they head on over to your page. This has been a beautiful ongoing journey for you, hasn't it, in terms of cultivating your gorgeous vision, beautifully sharing your offerings in all the ways that you have been. And so it's exciting to arrive with you today and to see, yeah, what the inspiration was for this chapter of the business, and perhaps to touch on a little bit around any challenges or blocks there were, to leading into a journey like this, and to really start to plant some seeds of what would you love to experience during this time together, so we can start to sprinkle some seeds over the coming months, recognizing that you are accessing this beautiful part of the journey. So you're very much leaning into the group space. And then the real juiciness of your journey inside the mentorship is going to start a bit later on this year, from September. So, yeah, we will arrive where we are today and see what wants to come through, my love. So, to start us off, I would love to offer what I like to call a little bit of an embrace round. Colette and I have just been sharing our cups of teas and how much we love our routine with our cups of tea at different times of the day. And so, yeah, for anybody that's tuning in and listening, I really invite you to get yourself cozy, get yourself a cup of tea, maybe even a blanket. And yeah, we're just going to start to lean into some nourishment today. And so, to open up the space, I would love to invite us both, Colette, today to really sense, how am I arriving into this space today? And to really invite this sense of real courageous authenticity that I know so many of us heart-led women are really wanting to connect more with. I'd love to invite the question of, if I was being really honest with myself, how am I arriving in this space today? And so I'm happy to kickstart us off
Yeah.
with that. And yeah, I know I mentioned to you before, Colette, I've been spending a lot of time horizontal recently, just feeling like wiped out. And it's felt like there's quite a heaviness in the air, or like a density. I don't know if it's the humidity or what. But yeah, I've just been really, really noticing like an invitation in my body to rest, to be more horizontal, to just be really slow, like really gentle. And it's felt really nice, actually, especially myself and Colette have been on a bit of a journey with, yeah, like exploring an evening sanctuary for ourselves in terms of what that looks like and how we'd like our evenings to look. And I'm usually a night owl. And so I normally go to bed very late. And yet, the past few days, especially, it's been like 8 o'clock, half eight. I've been signing off and starting to, yeah, really honor that time for deep rest right now. And so, yeah, there's like a little sprinkle of excitement that's here having this conversation today. And yeah, some real curiosity around this journey and where it's going to go and what's going to emerge. And there's also a real part of me that's like, oh, I'm really, yeah, I'm really desiring, like, almost to arrive in these places with a permission for some slowness,
Yeah.
a permission for some, noticing the part of me that's usually really passionate and really overly enthusiastic at times. And it's like, oh, actually, I'm being invited into a more subtle, gentle space. at this point in my week, in this point in the month. And so yeah, that's where I'm at today. And I would love to hear if you were being really honest with yourself today. How are you arriving, my love?
Thank you. Yeah, I think if I was being really honest, I'm arriving with like a duality of doing. Oh my gosh, I've got just the school hours to get this, and this done, and this sort of driving voice of do this and do that, and pushing and driving. And
Mm.
then this quite new voice of, ah, if you only get two things done today, it's fine. This real softness that's coming in as well. But yeah, they're at loggerheads sometimes. So I'm in a bit of a conversation between the two. I feel like they're here rather than sort of dancing together, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, managing to notice things in my body, and then I'm able to soften and
Mm.
keep practicing that. Yeah, and that's where I'm at this morning. Even
Yeah.
sort of walking around the shops, doing the big shop for the family, dropping the tension in my shoulders, checking where my breath is, noticing this, get the shop done really quickly, and then you can get home, and then you can start working, and then you can cook a really healthy lunch for everybody. So yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
playing around in the middle, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love your willingness to really let the dualities like of life exist, like coexist, and your beautiful journey that you're on, like what feels like the art of softening. It feels like you're
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
devoting yourself to that, which is so beautiful to
That's
see.
a great
Lovely.
way to
Thank
put
you.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure so many other women watching this, especially other mothers, will be able to relate to what you've just shared there around like that balancing act of all of the things. And so, yes,
Yeah.
thank you for arriving as you are, my love. And I would love to end our little embrace round with something that's bringing a sense of sparkle, something that's bringing a sense of joy or sparkle to your day, maybe to your week, your month. Yeah, what might that be for you today?
Right now it's flowers.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really share with you, but I've got this gorgeous bowl sitting on my desk, and I've just created it this morning, and it's got flower heads and floating candles and beauty. So looking at beauty, yeah, the candles and the colours of the flowers, and obviously the flowers behind me. And yeah, that's given me a little bit of sparkle. When I go on my walks as well, noticing, I go with the kids around the block, they're on their bikes, and just noticing nature and spring. It's just such a really beautiful time.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Very spring-like. I can really relate. I think as I'm reflecting on my sparkle, it's like the walks yesterday. I was
yeah,
just in awe of just how abundant nature feels right now. Just like
yeah,
everything seems to be thriving and blooming and just like being, yeah, immersed in all of like the vibrant greens. It feels very spring-like right now.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you've got the flowers, just surrounding yourself with the flowers right now. It feels really
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, my love. And yeah, I'd love for us to start to lean in and really start to get a sense of where are you at right now? So as you kind of reflect on life, on your heart-led business, your offerings, your vision, where would you say in terms of a season, whether you're in the heights of summer and things seem to be thriving and it feels very abundant and vibrant, perhaps you're in like a journey of autumn of like letting go, perhaps kind of reassessing or starting to slow things down, creating some space, decluttering, or perhaps it is more of like this spring type energy or a wintry energy, like where would you say you're at in your business right now?
Yeah, I would say early spring.
Mm-hmm.
I can just picture like little shoots of like fresh grass just coming up. It's a little bit delicate, very soft.
Mm,
Um, yeah, early spring for
yeah,
sure.
I love that. Yeah. And what would you say are like those elements of like those little sprouts that are coming up, like the softness? What elements of your vision or your business would you say those are right now? Perhaps that you're nurturing.
Yeah, I think it's taking this step. So I'm a real sort of ideas person. I'm really good with thinking outside the box and creativity.
Mm.
But sort of starting with you and you asking questions that are different to like a life coach that I've seen before, you know, how do you want the people in your yoga classes to feel, is really started to help me to find my target audience, to get some focus and try and hone my ideas into what I'm doing. So I think I went sat by the river and I really asked myself that question that you'd asked me, and I've written down the people who are going to be my target audience instead of trying for it to be everybody. So these
Mm,
ideas are starting to come up, and I'm getting a bit more direction.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. And when you said about direction, that felt in our conversations that's been really key for you in terms of
yeah.
wanting that focus, wanting that direction. Could you tell me a little bit more about what that will offer to you in the mentorship? Why that feels like something that would be helpful?
Yeah, I think it's you know, when you're trying to build a business and you've got so many ideas, I think I've said to you privately before, it's almost like I've got so many ideas that I'll become so overwhelmed with the ideas that I just won't do anything. So
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I'm going to work with teenagers. I'm going to go work in the old people's homes and teach yoga there. I'm going to host retreats for mothers. And I feel a little bit all over the place. And I feel a lot in my head trying to work it all out by myself. There's not a lot of people around me that are leading heart-led businesses, so something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So just having that accountability and also speaking to yourself who understands the philosophies that I'm interested in as well. Like we've been talking about the healthy masculine and feminine energies.
Mm,
There's not many people in my life at the moment that I can actually talk to about those things.
mm,
So yeah, having somebody who really understands
mm.
and empathizes.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. And I love that we're starting to weave in all of these curiosities about how the healthy masculine and the healthy feminine can start to really complement one another, not only in our businesses, but in our life as a whole. And yeah, lots of juiciness that we're going to be leading into together with this. It feels like we've only just got started, and yet the conversations that have emerged already, it's exciting, very
Yeah.
exciting. And I'm curious, what is it that feels so important for you? You mentioned that heart-led business,
Yeah.
when you're feeling passionate about your yoga and the women that you're supporting along the way. And I say women, am I right in thinking, Colette, that you are working with women, or is it men and women at the moment?
It's mainly women.
Mainly
Yeah.
women. Okay. Yeah. So when you're like reaching out and you're thinking about how do I want these women to feel, what is it that feels so important about this heart-led vision of yours and the feeling, like you said, that question of how do I desire to create a space, like how do I want these women to be able to feel? Why is the feeling and the heart so important for you at this stage of your life?
I think because of my journey with work, so I trained as a physical therapist and went to university and learned like Western medicine, and I worked for a Bupa and in the NHS for like 17 years. And then as I was starting to come off onto maternity leave, I realised I had an experience with a couple of people where I thought, you know, healing and recovery is not just the physical. There's a lot more to it. So I started to train to be a yoga teacher. And I think really making a difference to people's lives and soothing people isn't always sort of science-based and thinking with the mind, whereas I want to create a business that's actually that hears people and sees them and meets them where they're at and connects my heart to their heart to allow them to heal. Just another quick example is actually before I was a physio, I was doing nursing and I used to work on the elderly wards. It was one of my favourite jobs. So it was actually the moments where I'd be helping them like to shave, to wash, to put their teeth in, that we would connect on a much more heart-led space. So they'd maybe tell me the stories about the war and what would happen, and I would really spend time and listen. And yeah, that I used to walk out of the hospital sometimes with a really full heart and like tears welling up in my eyes, and just think it wasn't so much that for me that felt like the medicine, to seeing that person on the ward who, you know, he's just in a hospital gown, he's an old guy, but really seeing who he had been and where he'd come from. And that feeling for both of us, I think, is something that, yeah, I want to bring forward in my business and to help. At the moment, it's mothers. I've just been through motherhood with small children, and actually pretty much got burnt out in the pandemic. So it's sort of connecting with women who are going through things like that as well, on a heartfelt level. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely makes sense. And gosh, it feels like such a gift. Feels like such a blessing that we have women like you paving the way, where we get to arrive together in our hearts, we get to arrive together in our fullness as humans, not just like
Yeah,
the patient or the client, but it's like, oh, like, where have you been? When you were
yeah,
speaking, it reminded me of a volunteer role that I used to have in a independent dementia hospital. And we used to do a lot of like reminiscence type activities where we used to get all the old magazines out and all of the old photo albums and just reflect on the life, and like to hear them speak about the careers. Or I remember a man that I met and he was a professional boxer, for many, many years. And
yeah,
you go from arriving with this person who's in the 70s or 80s, and then getting to know like, wow, the depths of their journey and the uniqueness of their journey, and like to really connect with them on that heart to heart level as like a human being who has been through so many life experiences. It was so beautiful. And so it warms my heart to know that there's women like you out there in the world that, we're really devoted to connecting with the whole human.
yeah,
We're really connecting with, what's beneath potentially that initial greeting or that initial mask that so many of us might find ourselves wearing in society. And so, yeah, I love that we're deepening into this heart space, really meeting one another there. And I'm curious with this, yeah. Is there any question that you wanted to ask me around heart-led business or what we've touched on so far? Is there anything that you feel curious about? I know you shared a little bit about your journey there in terms of nursing and physiotherapy. Any questions within this conversation that you're curious about today?
yeah. I think, I suppose, to be able to sort of really hold space for other people,
Yeah.
um, you need to be able to feel grounded and hold space for yourself. So
Mhm.
how do you do with the days that maybe you've got a full diary, or you're going to be doing some of these calls, but actually you're going through something yourself, or you're feeling ungrounded, or something's happened, you've got a lot of grief coming up, but you've got to then hold space for other people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and does that ever sort of bring in the imposter syndrome of, how can I be holding space for you when I'm arriving with everything I'm holding? Yeah.
I love that question. That is a question that I journey with every single day. I love that so much. And it's a question so many of us can relate to, around the imposter syndrome, around the being human as well, And I would say for me, being someone that habitually throughout my life has felt ungrounded a lot of the time, has felt disconnected from my body, has been frantic, frazzled, rushing from A to B all the time.
Mhm.
It's a lifelong devotion, for me to really arrive into this daily practice. And for me, on my journey, the practice has been less about I have to do a half an hour meditation, I have to do an hour long breath work, I have to do all of these things. It's been more about how can I meet myself? How do I want to meet myself? So rather than what I want to do or have to do, how
Mhm.
can I meet myself? And so with me, my daily practice, whether I'm out on a walk, on a Zoom call, in a meeting, an appointment, it's always, can I meet myself here with compassion? Within my humanness, within the depths of my grief. If I've just been told some news and I'm like, I've got a call in an hour, and it's like, can
Yeah.
I give myself compassion of like, it's okay for you to arrive in your humanness. And so my key piece of medicine alongside the compassion has been, can I give myself permission to arrive as I am? And so that's the only times that the imposter syndrome really starts to take hold is when I'm telling myself that I have to be another version of who I am.
Mhm.
So if I'm going through a lot of grief and I'm pretending, I have to pretend that I'm okay and that nothing's going on here, everything's fine, and it's like if I'm telling myself that I have to be this happy, enthusiastic, passionate person that doesn't have like grief or feelings and all this stuff, then I start to get into this, oh, I'm not being true to myself. Like I'm not being true to my offering, my vision, and it starts to lead to a sense of disconnect of like, I'm showing up in this way, but
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling this.
Mhm.
The more that I can bring that together with compassion and permission of like, what if I arrived? I had an example of this in the past few weeks where I was going through some changes within my own life. I was going through some uncertainty. It felt quite unsettling. And I thought,
Mm.
what would it be like to actually just name that at the start of my calls? Like
Yeah.
how are we both arriving in this space? I want to own the fact that I'm going through some uncertainty right now and I'm supporting myself in these ways. But yeah, it's a hard time right now. You
Yeah.
know? So to really own my humanness and compassion and permission. And the two words that I like to come back to time and time again, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to be human. It's okay for me to not have mastered life. It's okay for
Oh,
me to be learning every single day. It's okay for me to make mistakes. As
yeah.
long as I keep coming from the heart, meeting myself from the heart, meeting others from the heart, it's like, how wrong can we really go if we're coming from the heart?
Yeah, it's
Feels
lovely.
right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my little take on that, my love. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I know compassion is something that we keep coming back to time and time again, isn't it? And
Yeah.
exploring meditations and all these kind of ways of being where we can really meet ourselves there. So thank you for that question. And as we're deepening into this, exploration of the heart, I'm curious for you in this chapter, this season of your vision, what is it that really pulled you towards the mentorship? You've touched on the feeling, the heart, you've touched on the direction and the accountability piece, we've touched on the queen and all of these different energies. It's like, yeah, what was really that thing that pulled you to leaning into this journey in this chapter of your life?
I think it's your the approach that the mentorship offers, which I remember ringing you up and sort of saying, you know, how does it work? And I think you said something like it's a little less mental, it's more about being in the body and the feelings or something along those lines. And for me, I was like, okay. And I'd started to get interested in somatics. I'd started to get interested in how am I reconnecting with my body? How is this feeling in my body? And something I'd spent so much time in the pandemic studying yoga for mental health, being in my mind quite a lot. I think a lot of us were. And when you said this is not really about spending a lot of time figuring everything out and studying, this is about a felt sense. This is something I've never worked with before. And I'm feeling when you sent me, I think I initially did you sent me, what was it called? With the app with the somatic practices on.
Oh, the somatic toolkit.
The somatic toolkit. So I just dipped my toe in the water with that, and it's like the rocking and the turning the palms over it and this notion of sort of going slowly. And I tried it and I thought, does this work for me? And yeah, it does. Getting into the body and out of my mind is working for me. So that's what sort of drawn me to this mentorship. It's the approach, that the somatic approach rather than the thinking. And again, I think I said to you, we said we're going to commit Thursdays. I'll commit Thursdays to my work day. And you said, what do you think would hold you back? And I said, not sticking to it and instead doing life admin and doing this. And then you sort of said, well, how would you like your Thursdays to feel? And that absolutely shifted it for me. So now my Thursdays, I've got my candles with my flowers. I've got my cacao or even just a nice cup of tea. And I'm like, no, this appeals to me much more than the thinking, oh my God, I've got this list and I've got to do this, this, this. Then going into overwhelm and not doing anything.
Oh,
Feeling
well,
tired and going to lay down on the bed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. I love this devotion to returning to the feeling. I'm sure so many can relate. Anyone listening can relate to that conceptual being in the mind a lot and like, what do I need to do next? Where do I need to be? And all the while, we're building this tension in the body. And it's like, okay, what might happen if we start to soften? What might happen if we start to return to the feeling, and to see what wisdom wants to come through there. So I love that you're devoting yourself to this. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, Colette, as we start to gently come towards a close of the conversation today, I'm curious, where would you love to really be leaning into, say in a later on this year, especially in September when you really start leaning into the group, you're receiving more of an individualized, personalized support at the moment until September. And then September, we're going to really start to lean into the group experiences where we're going to be doing a lot more collaborations. There's going to be a lot more co-flow, co-working together, some deeper integrations in our roundtable discussions, all of this juiciness come September. I'm curious where from now, actually, till maybe kind of approaching September, with
Mhm.
this beautiful personalized support that you've offered yourself from now till then, what would you love to be experiencing within your vision, within your business, within your life? What would you love to really be feeling in to over the next few months?
I think a sense of balance
Mhm.
and an acceptance of timing. So accepting that actually this might, with family life, and yeah, that this might be slower than I want it to be, but that's okay. And to really scale back, to celebrate my small wins. Like, we've done this call today, and the past me wouldn't really even acknowledge it in a way. I'd sort of be like, okay, I've done that call, on to the next thing. Whereas between now and September, I want to spend time being like, if that call is all I've done today to work on my business, that's still okay, you know? Um, yeah, so finding this balance, this doing and being, and slowing down, knowing that it might be a bit slower, and actually really tuning in and not coming so much from my mind of all the things I want to do, and seeing what comes through.
Love
Yeah,
that. You feel the compassion in there. I can feel the permission to slow down, that sense of it's okay. And just what we were speaking about earlier on today, this real meetings self and allowing our nervous system to start to build its capacity to slow down after so
yeah,
many years, potentially, especially with COVID and everything else, like that hyper vigilant state, especially for parents, that go, go, go energy. A lot of the time it's like, this is going to take some time to really cultivate our nervous system's capacity to feel safe within the slowing down. And so I
yeah,
love that you're giving yourself this space to really give yourself space to let that gradually unfold, and to really trust within the pace of that.
yeah,
Feels so deeply self-compassionate and loving. So yeah, I'm really, really celebrating this. And I love like, wow, if that's what I did today, how amazing is that? Like it's more than I did yesterday. It's in
yeah,
a way that felt really aligned, in a way that you got to really show up as you are, you got to connect to your vision, your heart. So yes, I love this focus on celebrating the small wins. I feel like
yeah,
that can really support our capacity to arrive into our day, our life with a real sense of abundance. I had a conversation
yeah.
with a woman yesterday, and it was very much around this. When we approach life from, I'm not where I want to be yet,
Mhm.
I'm still not there yet. We can come from this place of lack, like striving, reaching,
Yeah,
scarcity. Whereas if we come at life from this place of, look where I've already been, it's like, wow. Look
yeah,
what I've already journeyed through. Look what I've already leaned into. It's like, wow. It's like much more of an abundant reflection of like, wow, actually, yeah, let me just take a moment to celebrate that.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that you're leaning into that. And as we wrap up, I'm curious, as almost like a little bit of a whistle stop round, what would you say was the biggest block? Because we all have those blocks that's like, should I lean into this opportunity right now? Should I receive this mentorship right now? What would you say was the biggest block for you?
Um, yeah, probably it was the finances, like funding it, because I'm not bringing in because it's the beginning of my business, I'm not bringing in a great deal of money to fund it. Yeah, so that was the block. But you've obviously created a plan which has made it accessible for me. So meaning that I can do it and it feels manageable and it feels like it's something I can do. And I feel like I'm getting quite a lot of support as well for them, for the finances for the plan.
Yeah.
So your flexibility has helped me to sort of move that block, but I did and ah about it for quite a while, didn't I? Because of that.
So natural. It comes up for so many of us, doesn't it? And it makes sense why we need some space sometimes just to really think into what does feel accessible for me right now. And I'm curious, what was that thing that really, alongside the flexibility in the plan, what was that thing within yourself? That emotional piece, almost that emotional piece of reassurance that really supported you to go, yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to offer myself.
I think we did a couple of exploratory calls, didn't we?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think it was just more of getting to know about how you work, and more to do with the somatics that you're bringing in, so the different tools and practices, and also listening to your story, knowing that you've maybe been sort of, like you explained earlier, in that hypervigilance and the doing, and I felt like you could really empathize with where I've been and where I'm at sometimes. And you connected with me on a heart-led way. You're like, I've felt like that before, and these things have worked and helped me. And
Mm.
because you've walked that path, I think that appealed to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's that trusting, isn't it? Of like when there's that resonance there and you're like, oh yeah, like there feels like there's a connection there, or there's like a shared understanding, or yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. And so, yeah, as a piece of advice for any ladies that might want to embark on the mentorship moving forward, if they
Mhm.
were kind of on the fence, and ahhing, kind of, yeah, would there be any words of wisdom that you would share with them at this stage?
Yeah, I think just as I've said, the approach is something I've never worked with before, and it's not something where I think, oh God, I've got to do that business day, and I've got to do this, that. It's taking a different approach to things. It's something to look forward to. And yeah, it's coming sort of into your body and into the felt sense, which is different. And I'm finding it really soothing and healing and nourishing and an exciting way to approach my business. And also the support from you is amazing. I was we had to have a chat because I was feeling guilty. I was like, oh, you can't spend all this time talking to me and supporting me because we have our Thursdays. And last Thursday, I think we voice noted all day. And I was like, I wasn't expecting to take this much of your time. I'm so sorry. So that unwavering support from you has been more than expected. Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I love the conversation that unfolded. It's like how many of us as women feel guilty for taking up someone's time, or even if we're
Yeah.
invested in ourselves, like still there's that natural guilt that comes up, or like, can I really take up this much space?
Yeah.
And so I love that we started to explore that right from the early stages, and it will be something that we might continue to explore over the months to come. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think it's really beautiful when we can start to really give voice to the unspoken. Sometimes we might let these feelings of guilt, or like, can I really do this? Can I really ask this? We might let that kind of simmer beneath the surface. And what I love is that you're really willing to give voice to, like, this is what's coming up for me, this is how I'm feeling. And then we can really start to meet you, exactly where you're at, and really start to really meet those parts that are perhaps under the surface of like, oh, like where are these beliefs coming from, and like, oh, how does that arrive in our bodies, and like how does that then ripple into our life, our
Yeah.
relationships, and all of these different depths that we go to together. And so I really want to celebrate you, my love. We are going to start to bring to a gentle close now. I could go on and speak to you about all of this stuff all day. And I feel really excited. I know you said you were excited about the journey ahead. And I'd be super keen to, yeah, support the women to stay connected to you. So what
Mhm.
would you say is the best form of connection, for ladies to follow your journey, to come and find out a little bit more about the journey you've been on and what you're offering out in the world?
Yeah, I think at the moment I'm only on Instagram really.
Yeah,
Um, Yoga with Colette. Yeah,
beautiful. Beautiful. And that's Colette with one L and two
Yeah,
T's.
Colette. It might have been, I think it's just yoga with Colette. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I need to sort of build the website and grow the connections and things. But yeah, I'm still there. So Instagram at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, any ladies that are tuning in, I would highly recommend that you head over to Colette's page. Honestly, the beautiful seeds that you sprinkle throughout the week that always brings so much nourishment. I always feel like I can take a deeper breath when you share your content.
Oh.
It's always like arriving into the moment. Wherever I'm at in my day, your content is like, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Oh, thank
So
you.
thank
Yeah.
you so much for all that you're sharing, all that you're offering and birthing out into the world. It is so needed right now. And to end, I'm curious, what are you most excited about on this journey ahead? What fills you with like a little tingle, a little sense of like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to over the coming months?
I think having some sort of steady ground
Yeah,
with other women who are really interested in the same things that I am, and us all sort of being able to speak the same language, if you like. So connecting with other women that are into heart-led businesses as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm feeling less alone with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, because it can feel pretty lonely, this business world at times. And it's so gorgeous when we start to lead into these intimate spaces. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that little pick me up, that little connection of like, oh, it's not just me. So I really love to feel these connections starting to form in the space and yeah, to see how that evolves for you throughout the year. And so thank you so much, Colette, my love. Ladies, go and head over, follow Colette, go and receive all the beautiful nourishment that she's sharing over on Instagram. And yeah, it'll be exciting to see where Colette's journey takes her not over the next few months, but not only over the next few months, but over the next year. It's very exciting. All right, my loves. So we're going to end it there. Let's take a nourishing breath together as we close the space. Maybe placing a hand perhaps onto our heart or our belly if that feels good. And seeing in this moment if we can invite the forehead to soften, maybe even the jaw to release any holding on, any tension. And we might even invite the shoulders to drop away from the ears just that little bit more. Seeing if we could allow the body to take some nourishing breaths exactly as is. Nothing to do, nothing to change, just allowing the body to breathe however it wishes to breathe in this moment. We might take a little wiggle, a little rock from the left sitting bone to the right sitting bone, really sensing into that sturdy support that's available to us underneath our bum today. Like we're trusting that the chair can really hold the weight of our body in this moment as we feel into our feet, the contact that our feet are making with the surface beneath us today. And take in one more nourishing breath as we really honour all that Colette has leaned into and shared so beautifully today, and this beautiful journey ahead that she's about to embark on. And then we might gently rub the palms of the hands together, creating a little bit of warmth. Perhaps placing the palms of the hands over the eyelids as we blink the eyes open and closed a few times, letting them readjust to the light in the room. And then just letting the eyes wander around the space as we take a stretch, noticing where the eyes are most naturally drawn to in the space. Seeing if there's something that feels good to look at. It might just feel nice to let the eyes rest there for a moment. And then gently coming back to the screen whenever you're ready. All right, my loves, me and Colette are going to have a little checking out, but for now, we'll say goodbye to you, ladies. And yeah, for any ladies that are interested in finding out more information about the mentorship, finding out about what Colette and the other ladies are going to be getting up to this year, please do feel free to get in touch at Meg_embodiment_coach. Meg Embodiment Coach. And it's Meg with 2 G's. But I will pop the details underneath the video so you can stay in touch. And yeah, by all means, if you want to join Colette in September's group, do get in touch and I can share all of the details. I think it's 3 spaces left for September at the moment. So yes, I look forward to the possibility of hopping on a call and feeling into what all of this might mean for you in this chapter of your journey and your heart-led business. All right, my loves, sending so much love, and we will speak to you soon.